Welcome to Nintendo Voice Chat, episode 420, where we kindly invite you to blaze it. I'm joined today by Brian Altano.
Wait, we were supposed to blaze it?
Ooh, and all the way over there, Barrett Bam Bam Courtney in his
barrel roll.
His first ever NVC appearance. Now, friends, you might know, typically we start NVC at 3 p.m. on Thursdays, Pacific Standard Time. We hit a bit of a delay today, but any other Thursday, you're guaranteed to find NVC right here on IGN.com, 3 p.m. Pacific, and the following day, that's Friday if you're keeping up, at 3 p.m. on YouTube and your favorite podcast feeds. So stick around. We got a great show planned for you today. As you can see over here, we are joined by this charming man, Mario. You've even got his Twitter handle up there. Very nice. Spoilers. Per Schneider will be making an appearance today.
He's running late.
He's running late.
We played hooky on an all-company meeting so we could come in here and bring you the show, because whatever's going on out there is not as important as whatever's going on the world of Nintendo.
Yeah. That's right.
We're going to get in a lot of trouble.
That's also probably true. But today we're talking about Diablo 3. Big news there. We're talking about the Dark Souls release date, Doom, and the question block is back, and it's better than ever. So let's dig right in, guys. Yesterday, Diablo 3 seemingly leaked by Forbes magazine, correct? Sure. And then we got confirmation this morning in the form of a full-blown trailer.
And there was there's a lot of hearsay before this whole leak as well, of for months of is Diablo 3 ever coming to Switch?
Well, if you'll remember,
original tweet,
I was going to say, Blizzard was very cheeky months ago about tweeting out a photo of a light switch and then being like Diablo 3 and then claiming no, we have no plans in the works for that. But it turns out they did have plans in the works for that.
Turns out they were that smart.
And here it is, Diablo 3. So let's take a look at this. It's called the Eternal Collection. It'll include the Reaper of Souls and Rise of the Necromancer expansions. $59.99 sometime later this year, slated for the fall. And then also we got a bunch of Switch exclusives coming to us. That's the Ganondorf cosmetic armor set, Triforce portrait frame, a chicken pet, which is probably what I'm the most excited about, and Echoes of the Mask cosmetic wings.
Oh, that's cool.
That's awesome.
Honestly, I think what's got me the most excited about this announcement is that there's 4-player wireless co-op.
Yes.
Not unlike the way that we played Mario Kart. I know I've talked about this several times on the show, but the way Mario Kart took over our office when it came to the Switch was we'd just be playing it at our desks against each other, and Diablo 3 is such a perfect game for that. Look who it is, ladies and gentlemen. Per Schneider, buzzer beater coming in here.
Excellent.
Sit on down, bud. You didn't miss nearly as much as I thought you would.
Thank God this isn't live.
Yeah. Per, we're just talking about Diablo 3 coming to the Switch. We just did a little recap of the special features that it's coming, but I was just talking to these guys about how Diablo 3 on Switch, the wireless co-op 4-player modes, is really exciting to me because we can play it in the office just the same way that we did Mario Kart and the same way that we're going to do with Smash Brothers.
Honestly, if you missed this game because sort of your gaming path drove through PC stuff, or you missed it the last few years when it hit consoles, because we've never seen it really on Nintendo stuff like this.
Yeah.
This is a really fun game.
It's deep too. This is not. It's not like a Gauntlet and Diablo share a lot in common, but Gauntlet is kind of like the light version of Diablo. The menus, the stats leveling up, the item, the loot drops. It's a super deep game. And the challenge with that game, and I played this with my kids on the PlayStation, I think. The challenge with that game when you play on one monitor is menu pops up, menu pops up, menu pops up. Whenever somebody gets good loot, when you're playing 4-player local wireless, you're not going to have that problem.
I hadn't considered that.
Uninterrupted, awesome experience. I'm really excited for this.
That's really smart. Yeah, I hadn't considered that. I played the hell out of this game on PlayStation as well.
Good.
It's
I did too.
Just an awesome sort of dungeon crawling, button mashing. I mean, if you don't know Diablo at this point, you kind of got to.
That's me. It's right here.
Have you not played Diablo? Well,
I didn't play Diablo 3. That was what I understand the biggest one out of the Diablos.
Debatable, but
Diablo 3 really blew up, and that came out in 2012, around the time when I started casually getting back into video games. I was out for a good 5-10 years. So
well, you had that whole middle school thing to take care of. So
yeah, exactly. And so Diablo blew up when I was getting into very whatever action-based games. So this top-down dungeon crawler type of gameplay, what looks like point and click almost, or at least for PC, that didn't seem like my style. So I'm excited to see it on Switch. And I've said about so many games on Switch, like, oh, that's not really my game. But the fact that it comes to Switch, I'm like, oh yeah, I'm all in. Like
Right.
Fortnite, like definitely not a game that I would ever be into. But the fact that it came to Switch, I'm 130 hours into Fortnite already. So who knows what Diablo will do.
I got really into a game called Nine Parchments a couple months ago on Switch, which is a very Diablo-light game, and I enjoyed the hell out of it, and I played it with my wife, who doesn't really play video games. So I'm hoping that can be training wheels for this, for her specifically, because I really want to play this again. I like Zach. Played.
I like Zach too.
I do like Zach. I played a ton of it on PS4, a ton of it,
Yeah.
and I sat down being like, I don't know if this will connect with me, and then like weekends of my life went away.
Yeah, I mean, it really is excellent couch co-op. I think that's probably its strongest point. And I remember when the game came out, there was a lot of conversation around like, can it really be ported to a console? Will it really work on a controller? It's one of the most flawless adaptations to a controller from a PC port that I've ever seen.
And it's timeless visually, right? It's not one of those games where it really matters that it arrives so late because you feel like it's from another generation.
Yeah.
It's like this type of game visually, I think it will be the best looking action RPG on the platform still, even after all this time. So.
I think it's really interesting that you made the Nine Parchment. I'm sorry,
Parchment. No.
Okay. You made the Nine Parchments comparison because I played that earlier this year as well and enjoyed it, but I feel like I got about halfway through it and thought, I kind of wish I was just playing Diablo. So this is a great excuse to go back to that game. I mean, this is a day one purchase for me. Like I'll
totally
be there.
agree.
And
I saw some pushback on the price. This is pretty much the price that we're seeing across other platforms, on consoles especially. Especially with all the expansions, there's going to be a ton of content here, so I don't really feel like we're getting ripped off. Honestly, I was with people when they were complaining about the price on Wolfenstein 2. Because that is a linear first-person shooter game that doesn't really have a ton of replayability. You know?
Yeah.
But this, I feel like this is the kind of game where you will play through it a bunch of times. You'll replay levels, like you'll grind, you'll go for loot. Like there's a lot to do here.
that's fair. I feel like the replay value here is much higher. I do think it's interesting that you would have qualms with Wolfenstein's price point, but not this game's price point, considering how old it is. But I get the replay value aspect of it. I think that's smart.
Ew, what are you drinking?
That's coffee.
Iced coffee.
Oh, okay.
Who has ever had that reaction to coffee?
Does it look like mud water again?
Don't you eat
just
like
never.
dark German licorice covered in salt?
Oh, in Japan, I ate raw chicken liver.
I was going to ask you about your Japan trip, but then you were late to the show.
Yeah, I'm so sorry.
I didn't. That's okay.
Raw chicken liver. You know how good it was? Not good.
Yeah, that doesn't sound good. You figure there's any kind of raw chicken liver in Diablo 3? Probably, right?
Yes,
That's
there
like a
will be,
power
yeah.
up.
There's raw chicken liver in that drink.
Another thing that's in Diablo 3 this time around, cloud saves.
Uh-huh.
Now, we'll talk about cloud saves a little later on in the show because that was sort of a hot topic this week as well. But it's nice to know that you can take your profile from system to system in this game and pick up and play
Very cool.
with other, like if you want to pick up your friend's Switch and play Diablo 3 at their house, like you can do that too. It's very easy to do.
Very cool.
That means they have to roll out, well, I guess with the online update, they have to roll out the ability to log in and out, huh?
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So Forbes kind of leaked this early by accident, but
Forbes.
The official Nintendo YouTube account put up a preview video today with Reggie in it talking about the game. So obviously all the content's out there. IGN has coverage of it. I don't know if we're going to sneak out with the rest of them or we'll hit the embargo in a few days, but look out for that soon too.
It's really frustrating when you have the information on a game and then somebody goes like, "Oh, sorry."
It's happened to us a couple of times.
The interesting thing is they said like, oh, this is opening up like a new relationship again with Blizzard, and so I'm excited to
Hearthstone.
I would love
like Hearthstone is a game I've never played, but like because I've been waiting that one day when it comes to Switch, and even like Overwatch I feel like is something that like people have been asking for, and I feel like
They said it was difficult to make that happen.
I could see the like the web infrastructure being difficult to bring over to
But
Switch.
my argument is, I brought this up earlier, is like Fortnite, where you have 100 people playing on one server on a Switch console. Like if you can get that to work, there's got to be a way Blizzard can find out.
They'd have to
Overwatch
dumb down the graphics quite a bit, I think, to make
visually
it work,
much. I mean, Overwatch just does a lot more, I think.
Yeah.
Now-
But like, I could imagine games like World of Warcraft that have been around for a long time and run on a variety of PC hardware. That might not be.
I've already faced my demons and fought off the addiction of Overwatch. But the idea of it coming to Switch makes me break out in a cold sweat because I would get very into Overwatch again if it came to Switch. Now, eagle-eyed watchers of this first first trailer might notice that there was some very light gray Joy-Con that were attached to the console shown off.
Thank you. Yes, I noticed that.
Yeah, I'm sure you did. I'm sure you were the first to notice it. So we had a lot of people writing in to ask us if we were seeing brand new Joy-Con. What do you think? You're our Joy-Con expert.
At first, I thought it was the gray Joy-Con and just the light of hell lighting up the thing, but then like everything else didn't get that lit up. Like the buttons still stayed black, and there wasn't that much reflection.
It didn't seem like there was
it
a lot
does.
of reflection
They did
there.
sure look like custom Joy-Con colors.
What
Maybe
I mean, what would be the sort of like a symbolic connection there?
I don't think it's even a Diablo thing. I think this was.
Ash,
Yeah.
like
I think this was some.
There they are.
skeletons.
Yeah, that actually.
Well, they
kinda looks
already
like
have
my setup.
red and orange, so it's not like they could go with that theme.
I wanted to ask you two. I wanted to ask panel here. If these are, very nice. If these are custom Joy-Con, do you think Pear will buy them?
Oh yeah, are you kidding me? Yes,
Those are totally custom.
I'm
Look,
going to do a hot take and say no.
no, come on. Of course I'll get them.
Of course
But
you
at the
will.
top, you can see
They're
the
really
top of the
nice.
Switch is still very black looking, and that's kind of like the same tone as the dark gray Joy-Con. Like, come on, these are new.
So what you're not seeing is there's actually 2 mouse scroll wheels on the back.
No, they're not.
No, it's not true. I'm lying to you.
Pro controllers.
Yeah, pro controllers. I would love this. These are really cool. I modded my Switch to
You have one.
white Joy-Cons. So
There you go.
Wow, look at that picture in picture.
Nice.
So yeah, I'd be all about it. That said, I don't think that's what's happening here. This would also be a weird way to unveil that, like without much fanfare. They also immediately cut to a Nintendo Switch getting docked, and it's got the red and blue Joy-Cons on it. So
Interesting.
I think they would have kept that consistency going the whole time.
Dude,
Unless
Nintendo
this is
is
like an
such,
Easter egg.
they're
Yeah, it's like a
such-
proof of concept almost thing.
No, but they're such brand freaks, man. They must approve every footage and like, oh, this blue looks kind of wrong. This is deliberate. Come on, they would not let that through.
I'm with Pear on this
No
one.
way.
I think that we saw new Joy-Con today.
Interesting. Okay. I would love to be wrong here because that's great news.
It's just an interesting color to go with, especially because
Yeah.
it's like a.
I like it.
Very,
Barrett, you actually kicked off this conversation by talking about how this was a long rumored game coming to Switch, and Pear and I talked about that a little bit this morning. We talked about the idea that there are so many games that are long rumored to come to Switch, and we thought we might do a quick rundown of the games that are still rumored to come that haven't. But keep in mind that we've seen games like Fighter Z and South Park that were rumored to come and then made it there eventually. But Pear, why don't you talk to us a little bit about some of the games that we think still might be coming or have a feeling that they could be?
Yeah, just around the same time that the Diablo 3 information leaked, and we think this was probably on the docket for an earlier Direct event or possibly even E3 with an announcement, and then they decided, hey, we don't need to do it now, let's push it back. But some of that information, and we think through Nintendo Europe, got leaked out, and on that, as part of that information was New Super Mario Bros. U. So that was the other title mentioned in the same breath as this. Fighters, South Park, the other titles that were mentioned, obviously that's Metroid Prime Trilogy HD.
That's a
gotta
that's a title that I've been pulling for a very long time.
Exactly, but New Super Mario Brothers U to me is it's a bingo no-brainer for that to come out because there isn't a 2D Mario game like that. There's no Mario Maker announcement yet.
No. And I know a lot of people got sort of oversaturated with that art direction in the new series, the new Super Mario series. But this is the best one of those games.
It's a really good game.
This is the best one. The DS one's good. The Wii one's good. The Wii U version of this game with the Luigi DLC.
Yeah.
Is some of the best stuff they've done.
Some
in
of the toughest platforming
Absolutely.
in a Mario game ever,
Yep.
but some of the most rewarding as well.
It's also a sort of abandoned on Wii U Island with a couple other ports that haven't made it over, like Wind Waker HD.
And it's sold well.
yeah, exactly.
But it's sold
It's sold
well,
tremendously
but
well.
I think it will sell well again. It's like one of those timeless games you can play. If you played it single player before, you can now play it multiplayer through the whole thing. If you didn't play the Luigi DLC, you can do that now.
Yeah, and I don't know what a price point is for that entire package together. I'll buy it no matter what. The only 2D Mario on Switch right now is the port of that arcade game.
yeah,
That was brought over by the Arcade
remix or
Archive.
whatever.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it was, it sold incredibly well. That was in the top of the charts for a while too. People want 2D Mario. They just do.
I'm 100% that this is true. Metroid Prime Trilogy HD, I've heard it from so many different corners. I feel like they're just waiting for the right time.
I feel like the conversation around Metroid. Sorry to interrupt you, but I feel like the conversation around Metroid Prime Trilogy is that you can't do it because the third one is based on the motion controls.
That's what I was going to ask.
Or the port of the Wii. The Wii port was also based on motion controls. But couldn't you just use the Joy-Con's infrared sensor to use?
You
as
sure
motion
can.
controls?
If you can do Splatoon, you can do this.
Honestly,
Yeah.
I would take all three reworked in a way that eliminates the need for motion control. You could play
Totally
them
agree.
either
Yeah.
way.
Yeah.
I think that is honestly a better way to play.
That
these
might be
games.
why we're waiting.
Yeah.
Like it could be them trying to figure out how to implement.
I'll tell you what.
Don't get me wrong. I love the motion controls in these games. I think they're really well done.
I
Yeah,
think
the welding stuff is really good.
I think
yeah.
it makes the first 2 games infinitely better
Yeah.
in the Metroid Prime trilogy. I do feel like some of the stuff in Metroid Prime 3 felt a little tacked on, but that's a lot of what happened with the Wii in that early generation. Was like, oh yeah, now twist it this way. And
Well,
put
yeah,
it
there
this
was a
way.
lot of like unlocking doors and pushing and pulling.
Yeah.
That said, but I do believe that if you are going to port these games to Switch, it has to work in all forms. And in handheld form, I don't really think that makes sense. And I just selfishly would just want these portable. So if they can port them and they can adapt traditional like Switch controls to them, yes.
And they also might be waiting until they know we're getting closer to the launch of 4, right?
Yeah, that could be too.
They're looking for a gap. Like it's March. Hey, play the trilogy now and get ready for November's Metroid.
Exactly.
Well, I
Also,
think- I
for
think
posterity's sake, I would also take a up-res port of Metroid Prime Hunters for DS.
No, you can
Would
keep that
you-
one.
would you really?
I
I'll
like
take
that
Zero
game.
Mission though. I'll take Zero Mission.
Oh, yeah.
More on that later.
Of
It's
course.
just- there are a couple, just quickly, a couple of the other rumored
Yeah.
games were the City Skylines, right? That's a really cool SimCity type game that really there isn't much competition on this machine. That got rumored pretty early. And then Tomb Raider.
Yeah.
Whether that means a return to some of the older games or whether that actually means the latest Tomb Raider game, that one is a little bit less likely. It feels like that's a lot to bite off. But, if the boys that are porting the Doom games get sicked on that, maybe it's possible.
Yeah, I mean, I could easily see the 2013 reboot coming to Switch. That was on PS3 and Xbox One.
Yeah, that
or
one for
Xbox
sure.
360.
I imagine Panic Button has a lot on their plate right now.
Yeah,
Making versions of these games.
But this is
I'd
Square
be all for
Enix.
that.
They love the platform and they want to do more.
Also, a very quick honorable mention to the fact that we saw a patent update this week for Endless Ocean.
Oh,
Remember that game?
yeah.
Yeah. So Nintendo might be kicking something like that around too. Maybe we'll see a new version of that, which was like just the most relaxing underwater adventure photography simulator.
Yeah. The last
See
one,
those turtles.
the last one that I put down here is not one that we've discussed or that's even been rumored, but just one that I desperately want, and that's a Zelda collection.
You just made that up?
Yeah, I
was wondering where that came from.
I'm just winging it, but I would love to see a 3D Zelda collection for Switch.
I would love. What was the one that had Majora's Mask?
That was the I want to say it was called the Masters Collection.
Yes.
Or it was the pre-order bonus for the Wind Waker,
Yes.
and then there was
Quest.
another one.
The gray one had Zelda 1 and 2, and then
Ocarina
of Time,
and Majora.
Majora.
Yeah,
And Majora didn't run so great.
yeah, it didn't run.
They had to load in between
And then there
screens.
was and then there was the master
Menus.
disc thing that had
Yes.
Ocarina and the remix version of Ocarina.
Yep.
Right.
Gotcha.
Yeah, Master
Just
Quest.
awesome.
Yeah, I would love like a trilogy collection of Ocarina, Majora, and Wind Waker just coming to the Switch.
I
We
throw
can
I'm
skip
greedy.
the
Give
Wii
them,
ones.
give them all, dude.
No.
I want them all.
Throw Twilight
Everything
Princess on
but
there, and
Breath
then,
of the Wild.
Yeah, yeah.
All
I mean,
of them.
I'd even play through Skyward Sword again, painful as it
$50.
may be for.
Well, while they're yanking motion controls out of games,
Yeah.
Yeah, right. We're looking at you.
I mean, I might like Skyward Sword better without the
That's right.
force motion.
Let's not say things that we can't take back. I can already hear the comments section just really bristling up. So
only Zelda game I never finished.
Really? It's got a good ending, man. You missed out.
wow. Oh, okay. Things got weird.
Sensual high five.
Speaking of swords, turns out our old friend Dark Souls is back in the news. He's finally got a release date. And that's going to be October 19th, just in time for the spooky day of the year.
Halloween.
Halloween.
Yeah.
That's right. So we heard that there's going to be a network test coming before the release date, which is important. Dark Souls is not famously known as a multiplayer game, but for those of us that have played it know that the multiplayer aspects of it are certainly helpful, especially to those that are new to the franchise. If you're a longtime Nintendo fan, I got a
Leave
real thing
hard
going on
notes
here.
all over that
great.
game.
Yeah, you can leave notes, but you can also help your friends beat bosses and stuff, which is incredibly important as you're getting into that series. And if you're a longtime Nintendo fan and haven't ventured into Dark Souls, like you're going to want that stress test to make sure that people can play with you.
There's a little amiibo coming out.
Oh, I'm
alongside
so
that,
excited
too.
for
Yeah?
the Solaire amiibo.
Also,
Yeah.
little cheat code, you don't really have to fight that first boss. You can go around, you can jump on his head and knock off half his health and then kill him from
Mario
Cool.
style.
Yeah.
the head.
Do we think we're getting Solaire for Smash?
I would love Solaire to be an assist trophy or something in Smash.
yeah,
I think that would be really
Seems
great.
like an assist, right?
Yeah.
That would be really cool.
And then the last note that I have here is Praise the Sun. No, actually, there's another note here that says there's no cross-platform play for this version of Dark Souls, but we've known that since January. That's not news.
That's a big question for Diablo. I don't think they will try and match the
can't
versions.
imagine. Yeah.
You know?
We'll see.
Yeah.
That would be very, very
I bet that's
interesting.
Switch exclusive online.
Speaking of the macabre, we got our first look at Doom at the
Yes.
QuakeCon keynote earlier this week, and damn, Doom looks so awesome. And the best news is, we got Doom on the Switch last year, the first version or the first iteration of this reboot, sort of.
Right.
This Doom is coming to us on Switch day and date.
Yep.
Which is huge. That's a big deal. This is a first, a Bethesda game first that's coming to the Switch on the day that it's released. So that's awesome.
We are
You
not
wrote-
getting other console leftovers. We're getting it fresh.
You wrote here it comes sometime in the year 20,189. Is that accurate?
That's right.
Before or yes?
So Bethesda says that there's no real firm release date, but we can assume that it will be sometime between now and 20,189
Good,
when
good,
we're one consciousness all blended together in like a big pink soup.
And the Earth looks like Doom.
That's right.
You said
working on
here, likely from Panic Button, and I believe they did tweet out.
Well, Panic Button, in the same way that Blizzard was talking about Diablo, Panic Button is being very cheeky and tweeting out images of Doom, kind of leading people to believe
maybe we're
that
working on it. Who
I'm
knows?
almost
100%. Come on.
They did the first one; they handled it so
Yeah.
well. It seems
Did
to
they
me
do
like
Wolfenstein as well?
Yes.
Gotcha.
yeah. And apparently, according to Brian, they're doing the Metroid Prime trilogy. So
I made that up. That's a lie. It's not true.
starting
Find
the
out more
rumor
in the year
here.
2189.
Okay.
we got a long wait for that, but it's going to be worth it. It looks like.
I'm so excited
I
for
think
this.
that the thing about this Doom or the reboot in general is the mobility, and this one looks like it's just ratcheting that up through the roof. Yeah, there's a lot of brutality in this one too.
I'm gonna play this game, but I gotta be honest. I'm gonna play it on Xbox One X.
So
Yeah.
okay,
This is like these are just such visual games to me that I feel like the portable factor does not outweigh the beauty.
I'm really
Of
glad that you
ugliness.
said that, Pear, because hosting a Nintendo-centric show, I had this conversation with Brian earlier as well,
We can be honest.
earlier this week, that it's like, look, I loved the reboot of Doom. I played the hell out of it. I played through it twice in a row, back to back. And part of the reason that I loved it so much was that it was just, it made my eyes bug out of my head. It looked so good, you know? And the idea that the Doom port scaled in frame rate and looked okay, like, if I'm gonna play this game, I'm gonna play it on my PlayStation.
Yep.
And it hurts to say that a little bit, but I'm glad that people that are only Switch owners or devotees like that have this on the same date. And don't
That's
have to
exactly
wait.
it.
Yeah.
And like there are people who don't have time to play at home, or for whatever reasons they don't have the setup where they can play these games at home. And so that's where the Switch version is perfect. And I'm glad it's coming.
I imagine this one will look better than the last one did too.
Yeah.
So,
Um,
but yeah, I'm with you guys.
Caco Demon.
But I'm happy it's here. That's
me
cool.
too. Our friend Alana Pierce is in the chat right now, and she wants to know if I got a haircut. And yes, I did get a haircut. Thanks for noticing, Alana. Thank you. Here it is.
Hey, by the way, Alana, hi. I did too. You know, I know it's always shaved.
It's not.
but
That's not hair.
Barrett got his first real boy haircut in a very long time.
Yeah, I haven't been to a barber in 3 years, so that was really cool.
I miss you, Alana.
Yeah, we
Hi,
all
Alana.
do. So Nintendo also showed off this week a new game for the Nintendo Switch called Super Mario Brothers 3.
All right.
It is in
Hearing
fact
good things about this one.
It is in fact the third Super Mario Brothers game in the franchise
wow.
coming to your
Fourth if you were
Nintendo
Japanese.
I
Switch.
didn't know they made that many.
Yeah, they tweeted out earlier this week. Their statement says
Check out the hit film The Wizard to find out more.
that's not what their statement said, but I mean it was close. No, their statement says play Super Mario Brothers 3 online with Nintendo Switch Online when the service launches this September, and relive the classic NES game that brought renowned power-ups such as Raccoon Mario to the world of Super Mario Brothers. Brian, you actually had some thoughts on this. I know you.
Is this going to be
famously
the
hot
rant
takes?
again?
No, I mean he's
No, this is not
famously
the
had
rant. Okay.
he's famously had this sort of diatribe on how many times he's bought Super Mario Brothers 1, but specifically this is about the technical limitations of Super Mario
Yeah.
Brothers.
So when people look at this running on this hardware, you're probably saying to yourself, "Okay, that's cool, but like my Switch is widescreen." You know, you probably say it with better English than I just did. But it's so you could. I imagine in these games you'll have the option to hit a button to stretch out the pixels. I personally find that. Thank you, Barrett. I find that to be hideous and offensive.
Because you can have that option for Mega Man X Legacy Collection just came to Switch.
Yeah,
you can do that as well. And I tried that for a good 3 seconds, and I almost threw up.
Yeah, it just doesn't work. If you ever played original Game Boy games on the GBA, you realize with the L and R buttons you had that option as well. It doesn't look so great. I was talking to some people in Nintendo Voice Chat Facebook group, which you should join because it's an awesome place. And they were saying a couple of people there were sort of talking about how it sucks that you can't play this game or stretch this game out, or at the very least make the levels wider. And
changes the feel a lot when you can see more.
So I wanted to talk about that real quick.
Yeah.
First of all, this game is built around the limitations of the NES hardware. Secondly, it changes the sort of run of that game. Mm-hmm. So if you can anticipate a Goomba or a Koopa coming from further away because the level is longer, that will change the difficulty of that. Also, the memory limitations of that game basically dictate where a bullet bill would come from, how long it would be on screen.
Yep.
Have to rewrite
it. It would change the physics. It would change the physics of the game.
And so I'm not trying to school anybody or anything like that, or even scold anyone, but
Get dunked on.
No, just get lightly patted on the top of the head. There we go. But it doesn't work like that. So it's cool to see that this game's coming back. The only way we could ever get a really, truly widescreen version of this game is if someone remade it in something like Super Mario Maker, which obviously
people have made those levels.
Yeah, and they have, and that has its own set of tendencies and physics too.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's cool. I'm glad this game's coming.
Well, the coolest thing though is with Nintendo's online service, you can do the pass the controller thing.
Yes.
And so you can be at home, I can be at home, you can watch me play a level, marvel at my skill, and then I say, all right, you do the next level, and we hand off.
And to reiterate, you guys don't
awesome.
live at the same home.
We
You guys
don't
are
live in the
two
same
different
homes. I hear scratching at night. It might be Brian downstairs.
I know that Brian has spent a substantial amount of time in the House of 1,000 Joy-Cons, but I don't know if it's enough to warrant the justification of him actually living there. That makes sense.
But you're probably, since you have bought this game 914 times, you're probably really good.
Yeah, no,
so
great.
I would love to play with you.
That's
sure. Hands up.
That's old school too. Like hand it off when you
right.
if you die or
great
something.
idea.
I like
Well,
that.
so I don't know what it means to own a video game in 2018. Right? I straight up that is a relevant linguistic, basically. It means nothing. Because if I buy a video game and it's digital and then that game doesn't exist on a digital storefront anymore, do I own it? If I buy a physical game and I have to download it digitally, do I own it? What does that even mean anymore? So for these games like Super Mario 3, do we own Super Mario 3 on Nintendo Switch? Are we renting it in the same way we pay for Netflix? Like,
Yeah, because we really
can I
don't
access
know.
this offline?
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
what is this? What is this game? You know, I know what Mario 3 is like on my NES. I know what it's like in Super Mario All-Stars. I know what it's like when I bought it through Virtual Console on the Wii or the Wii U or everywhere else, which I bought. What does it mean here?
Hey,
That's
Brian.
what we don't know yet, and we are just a few weeks away. I don't know if we'll get a direct specifically focus online.
They've got to do a direct.
I would
I
love
would
a
assume
20-minute sort of like,
Yeah.
here's what we're doing.
Online?
And yeah.
I think you should watch The Wizard to find out.
Very good. Actually, Brian, what you're talking about, this idea of the actual physical owning of a game goes kind of hand in hand with the idea of cloud saves.
Yes.
And we talked a little bit about it earlier in the show, but earlier this week, Nintendo of America tweeted out, Nintendo Switch Online will launch in the second half of September. The service provides access to online play and save data cloud backup in compatible games, and a growing library of NES titles with the added online play.
Mm-hmm.
You've highlighted here in this run of show incompatible games, which I think is super interesting. And then you found a tweet that you brought to me as well that you wanted to talk about. Can you talk a little bit about that?
So to clarify, that is save data backup in space compatible games, not incompatible games, although this got us worrying that there might be incompatible games with this. So obviously people saw this and immediately they were like, wait a minute, so it's not everything. And if it's not everything, then that's that classic Nintendo, like 2 steps forward, 1 step back kind of thing where they're like, it's here, but not really. Or like, it doesn't work here, but it does work here. And so that got us worried, right? But so I pulled up a tweet from the developer of Miles and Kylo, which we talked about this on the show. It's an adorable little sort of action platformer about a boy and a dog.
Which one's the boy and which one's the dog?
No one knows.
Very important.
Yeah, you got to beat the game to find out, or watch the hit film The Wizard, available in theaters 40 years ago. So this tweet came from Four Horse Games in response to sort of some concern about the compatible games list. And they said, stress not, I suspect they are covering bases here. Cloud save is essentially, quote, support it unless you have a compelling reason not to, unquote, on the submission process. I recently enabled it for the Miles and Kylo V1.1 patch.
Is it
which
Kylo
means,
or Kilo?
I would call
I
it
thought it was
Kylo.
like miles and
I'm
kilometers.
a huge Star Wars fan, so I'm going with
All right,
Kylo.
that's Kylo. Yeah.
So I think here that it's effectively going to be like a checkbox when you are submitting your game for publishing purposes on the eShop.
Compelling reason is you made Resident Evil 7 and has temporary cloud storage for a cloud game.
Right.
So I think they're probably covering their basis with that.
I forgot that
games
Resident
like PSO and
Right.
in Japan.
There's these games that only exist in the cloud.
Yeah. So hopefully you're right, and this is just a precaution that some games
Right, or
might
something
not
like
do it.
Fortnite too. Fortnite, which has its own online.
Oh
system.
yeah, that's right.
And to a developer like Miles and Kylo, like, I wonder what checking that box means to their bottom line.
Right.
Like, I wonder if that's a tremendous amount of additional costs that they have to incur to support like cloud save data, right? It's a really interesting thing to think about.
Well, yeah, or if they're even the ones hosting that data. I imagine Nintendo is, because
Well,
we're
I'm
paying
talking
them.
about like
It's
building.
platform.
Oh, you mean adding the
platform-based, but I'm,
functionality?
like, adding the functionality. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, because that's a whole different back-end infrastructure that they have to build into their game.
I mean, that's what you get for effectively retroactively launching a feature that, for all intents and purposes should have been there for day one, because there are now 900 games on Switch. And will all of them support this? Who knows? Some of those companies may have abandoned these games and moved on to other ones.
Yeah.
Others might be out of business. Others might be really excited to do this. So
I imagine it's one of those things where, like, the developers who are developing specifically for Switch and they're still paying attention to it today are going to make sure that they have this compatibility.
Yes. Yeah.
So I wouldn't, think everything's on fire and start freaking out. I bet
it's simple to do. I bet every game that we care about is going to have it.
I hope so.
Yep.
I imagine like generic game from mobile that was ported day one of Switch that no one has paid attention to. That
I
might
love
not get it.
generic game for mobile from day one of Switch that nobody has paid attention to. How dare you?
I like the sequel.
Yeah.
Speaking of sales and that sort of thing, we weren't even talking about
Yeah,
sales.
that was
I
a
don't
bad
know.
transition, Zach.
Yeah,
Come on.
I can't win them all. I got a
Yeah.
couple of bangers in there today.
Did you?
But yeah,
I
a
wouldn't
couple
say
of good
bangers.
I have to watch the show to see if you had some.
Yeah,
bangers.
you have to
You have to watch Wizard.
Milo and Otis.
Don't watch that movie.
Nintendo announced that
Only in theaters the same weekend as The Wizard.
Nintendo announced that they've sold approximately 700 million consoles and portables, which is a huge achievement and a giant number for Nintendo. So I just wanted to break it down really quick. That's
Break it down.
I will. That's 300.54 million consoles, 427.11 million portables, the best being the Wii at 101 million, and the DS at 154 million, the worst, of course, being the Wii U at 13.5 million, and the 3DS at 72.8 million.
So-
And I wanted to ask you guys real quick.
Where's the
sort of
Super
rapid
NES
fire.
Classic? I'm sure that's in there too.
It's up
huh?
there.
Yeah.
Rapid fire. What's your favorite console game, Nintendo game, or your favorite console Nintendo game, and your favorite portable Nintendo game? Go.
What's your favorite console Nintendo game of
Yeah,
all
that's right.
time? Not console.
No.
Breath of the Wild.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's
And my
impressive.
favorite portable game? Advance Wars.
Okay. Wind Waker and Metroid Zero Mission.
Probably Super Mario Brothers for the NES and Link's Awakening for the Game Boy, Game Boy Color, and everywhere else it's ever been, which is just the 3DS.
Barrett?
Breath of the Wild for home, and then for handheld, probably Pokemon Fire Red.
Pokemon Fire Red. Excellent choices.
Also, I
all
want to
around.
change my answer to Mario 64. I like that game better. Sorry about that.
Mario 64 is a
Fair.
very
That's
good Mario.
That's a good one in Ocarina of Time too.
Yeah.
But
So what's crazy about this is what is the Switch, which we'll never learn because they have a divide here between consoles and handhelds, right? So who knows where that stacks up? And B, if you remove the Wii, which is one of their best selling of all time and recent, you're effectively looking at double the sales of portables between portables and consoles. The portable side is eclipsing the consoles in a crazy spectrum.
The 3DS is the worst performing one. It's at 72 million.
Isn't that nuts?
And
wild.
Wii U is the worst, and it's at 13.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's a huge disparity.
What a divide. So, way to go.
Well, and it should be said, I mean, we can count that 72 as the final number on the 3DS, but we don't know. I mean, maybe
there's
there's a
still
huge
some
3DS resurgence.
Yeah. Keep on going.
We've seen games scheduled for release into 2019. So I mean, who knows what happens to the 3DS? That system still has legs. And speaking of games, we named some of our favorites, but I wanted to talk to you guys about what we're playing now. Let's talk about some contemporary games that we are enjoying, or I don't know, maybe not. Pear,
because I was running here, I left my Switch at my desk. But if I had turned it on, it would have definitely been running Picross S2. I'm not going to talk too much about it because you guys are going to make fun of me, like everybody.
Pear,
but
I'm
we
not.
would never, we'd never make fun of you for
Picross S2 is so good. Its art style is generic, but the interface is flawless. The way that you control this game is flawless, and the way it's set up. And if you've never played Picross, you have some choices whether you want to take the wimpy way, where the game autocorrects your mistakes, or you're gonna set it up so that it doesn't give you any hints, and that you have to struggle to complete a level without any hints. And sometimes Justin Davis and I keep on playing it, and like we fall asleep playing it, and we wake up and it says like 2 hours on the clock, and we're like crap, and then we start over because that's just not right.
Do you guys turn off the hints and the other stuff?
Yeah, everything's off. Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm about 3/4 through the game. It's there are hours and hours of entertainment. It's really smartly designed. The puzzles are not farted out by a computer. Like when you're completing them, you realize a human being was being a real nasty little bugger.
I appreciate the new feature they added, or the subsection called Clip Picross, which is really cool. I've been playing a bunch of the game too.
Yeah, you unlock clips.
I'm probably about 60 puzzles in. I will say that this game is sort of. I don't know. It's kind of like what people complain about with the Madden football games every year, where it's a new roster
set,
of puzzles. Like there isn't a ton of stuff. The sort of UI isn't completely different. It's
the same.
It's the same game as last year, but with some new stuff in it.
But they're
the same. Sorry, go ahead.
No, there are 100,000 clones of these Picross games since the old NES days.
Right.
But they're never as good as the Jupiter-made ones.
That's right. Yeah, and in the same way that players that play Madden will buy it year over year because they love that feeling and they love that. Like, there's other football games out there. Maybe, I don't know. I don't play them. But
EA shut them all down.
Yeah, that's right. People come to Madden because that's the definitive football experience.
Yeah.
Pear comes to Picross every year because that's where he wants to play Picross. Like, that's the best Picross experience.
The thing that's missing from this game is variety of music. Like, it does feel like a slim package in that it doesn't give you, it doesn't have like beautiful Zelda art or Mario characters or anything like that, or lots of different music.
Yep.
The music that's in there is good, but it's so repetitive that you
also
turn it off.
You can't do this on the show, or probably in my entire adult life, but I don't know how to play Mega Picross. And I never
can show you. Yeah.
Oh,
It's
that's
tough.
when you duct tape two switches together and you play Picross across both of them.
That would actually make more sense.
It's difficult.
I fundamentally do not understand the language of that.
I'll finish every puzzle in that game.
So, we talk a lot about like games on Switch that we love. I honestly believe there's not nearly enough great puzzle games on Switch, and Picross 2 is one of the best.
There's one more. There's Hexalogic. Picross did not arrive in time for my flight to Japan. I went to Japan on vacation. And
that must have been devastating for you.
I don't know anybody at Jupiter, so I couldn't get a code for it. So I was waiting for the Japanese release, didn't come in time, and so I did get Hexalogic ahead of time. And this is a $3 game. It's very cheap.
Wow.
It's absolutely worth owning, but it's
pretty.
very
It's really
lovingly created.
Are those our review scores?
Don't the logos look like our review score? I know. Like when you see the 9. And it's a very simple concept of like the numbers have to add up across these different rows, and then the puzzles get a little bit more complicated. It's a fairly short game. It's only $3, but it's going to get a free content update with new puzzles in the future as well. And it's got pretty music, and as you like go higher in the levels, the music changes, like in Mario 64, where like the drums kick in. And
cool.
stuff. So
that
it's got little
rules.
touches like that. It's really
that.
nicely done. I think there's a mobile version of it too, which of course is like 99 cents. But
Yeah.
$3 is, I think, really fair for this. You should check it out.
I totally agree.
Pear, I've never been much of a puzzler myself, a puzzleman as they're known.
Puzzleman.
But I respect that you play so many of these puzzle games, and I feel like you're such an authority on it. Like it's really cool when you do point out these new puzzle games, and I always give them a shot, and I'm always terrible at it.
Thanks.
But,
Pear, I think eventually we should do a segment on NVC where we like talk about some of the best games that are incredibly cheap.
Yeah.
Like this. I saw people in the NVC Facebook group once again, plug, talking about how some of their favorite games that are like under $5 or under $3.
Yeah.
And there's like actually quite a few. I got one the other day called Chameleon Run that was like $2.
Yeah.
And it's a very simple like running action platformer game that has like some mild Ikaruga elements to it. And I really dig it.
Yeah, we should do that. We should do a list.
Yeah.
Do you want to go down the list, or do we switch to somebody else, or?
No, let's go ahead and talk about this next one. I think maybe we'll cut this last one here. We'll save that one for later.
Yeah.
But the next one I feel like we need to talk
Taiko
about.
Drum Master, if you haven't downloaded the demo, download it from the Japanese eShop. It's coming to the US.
I played an enormous amount of it in Japanese arcades. It's an incredible game.
Did you
fun.
created a Japanese eShop account, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Very easy to do.
Yep.
Very fun, but
The demo
probably...
the demo is there now, and the demo is fun enough in and of itself.
There's
but-
just something cathartic about shaking your Joy-Con too and playing it like this. Obviously, you can use the Taiko Drum peripheral too, but we're going to talk about a new game that came out, Okami HD.
Brand
not
new.
Quite
It's
that
new.
brand new.
Yeah.
Actually, winner of IGN's Game of the Year award when
right.
it first debuted from Capcom. A wonderful team. Basically, it's The Legend of Zelda featuring a wolf.
Finally.
before The Legend of Zelda
which came
featured a
out-
wolf.
Yeah.
It did come out before Twilight Princess, and the games actually have some similarities, even in the battle system and how you battle as the wolf.
I mean, to me personally,
Not on purpose, though.
I love this
Yeah.
game. Okami is one of my favorite games. I'd put it probably in my top 25. This is just a Zelda game to me, presented in a different way. Obviously, there's a totally different feel and a totally different vibe to it, but it's a Zelda game through and through. And our friend Andrew Goldfarb would tell you that it's actually the best 3D Zelda game, which I don't necessarily agree with.
I don't know
but
about that.
it is a beautiful game. It's long. You get a lot for your money in terms of length of this game.
Yeah.
But the combat feels great. The exploration feels great. Brian,
Good
you and
sense
I.
of humor.
Yeah.
And the art style, it's done like sumi-e, brush painting,
Right.
Japanese style brush
Look, it looks
painting.
beautiful in
Yeah, and
motion.
it's almost
Yeah.
got that like Wind Waker vibe as well. When it comes to the
This
art
game
style.
looks gorgeous and plays gorgeous in handheld mode. What I really love about the Switch is that it's become this place where I'm starting to catch up on things that I missed. And for some odd reason, for some bizarre reason, I'm a huge Zelda fan.
You didn't play this?
I've never really played a lot of this game. I think I played the first 3 or 4 hours of it a bunch of times, which, you know, it's Twilight Princess-y in more ways than one. It's got a very slow start. Once you get really past that first town, the game opens up.
Yeah.
And it's really fun and it's really beautiful. Stick with it, please do. And so I actually gave this game another shot. It's $20. And so I was like, okay, I can roll the dice on this. This is not a ton of money. And I'm totally hooked on it. I really love it. I love poking around this world and finding secrets. I think it's super charming. I think it's like it's kind of fantastical, but at the same time, it's grounded in a little more sort of like kind of Japanese presentation more than the Zelda games get into very much more high fantasy, almost Tolkien at times. I won't say this game is grounded because it's about a talking wolf that can paint, but please check this game out if you're like me and you missed it, or if you played it a while ago and you want a very competent, very beautiful, technically proficient port of this game. I think this is doing a great job.
It's a game that I played through when it came out on PlayStation 2, and I've purchased it on Wii and PS4.
Oh, really?
Both under the assumption that I would play through it again, and because of my backlog, I just haven't got around to it. But now that it's portable, I have a 10-hour flight to Gamescom tomorrow, and this is a perfect opportunity for me to jump back into it and really. Now, I will say the only knock against it is I feel like the tutorial section of this game is even longer than Twilight Princess.
It is very wordy.
It does have a
Very
very
wordy.
slow start, but like Brian
You can
said,
skip it, though.
Power through. Yeah.
Or
I mean, there's a lot of context.
skip the talking.
Yeah.
And it's got they adapted the motion controls from the Wii,
Yeah.
so you can
So you
use
can
your
do-
Joy-Con
yeah.
if you want to do the brush strokes. It's fine to just do it with a stick and not as disruptive when you're on the
Highly recommended. Brian, what are you playing?
Okay, so 2 games launched this week that are
You said that very rhythmically. 2 games launched this week.
and I want to play them both.
Somebody turn that into a rap, please.
2 games launched this week on Nintendo Switch that are both sort of cyberpunk, futuristic inspired adventure games.
Yes.
Which is very, very bizarre because
I'm very into it.
I've been bouncing between the 2 of them. And one of them is 2064 read-only memories, which I really like. It's slow.
Yep.
It is wordy. The title has the word read in it.
There's a lot of reading.
Yeah, and this game has some incredibly beautiful pixel art. The music is fantastic. It's got great voice actors and actresses, including Austin Creed and Jim Sterling. And I believe there was a little Dave Fennoy in the intro. There's got to be. So this game plays out sort of like Maniac Mansion or any of the other kind of point-and-click adventure games.
Like mud adventure games.
Yeah, where you enter a room and you have to sort of put together mysteries and pick things apart. And you can pick up items and look at them and store them and like hack into laptops and just sort of poke around and interact with characters. It's very funny. It's it's very charming. It's really unlike anything else on the eShop right now. And so if you're looking for something a little more slow, a little more methodical, that isn't really like, you see this game and you're probably like, oh great, another like pixel art game on Switch. This one's very different than your sort of Dark Souls, Metroidvania action platformer. This has its own charms and it's got its own tendencies that I'm really into. So I think
this originally came out for PS4 early, like sometime last year or maybe earlier this year.
I think it said January.
Yeah, and it was one of those things where like, oh, I'm kind of into this, but like it'd be cool if this is portable. So I'm excited that this is coming out because I'm also on that 10-hour Gamescom flight tomorrow. So it might be one of those games that I pick up and play.
Yeah, right on.
I've got Picross for that. Thank you very much.
I also played a bit of a game called Manual Samuel, which
you made that up. That's not real.
It's not real.
Someone made it up. The best way to describe this game is it's that game Quap.
Yeah,
but with a story mode in hell.
Quap is.
Okay, you totally know what Quap is.
Quap is that game where you have to control an Olympic runner using every button on your hand.
It was like the web browser
game that was really big.
Yeah. So this game is really funny. It stars a character that kind of looks like Scott Bromley, former IGN editor, who gets in a fight with his girlfriend, walks out into traffic, gets hit by a car, and dies.
Okay.
And when he wakes up, you have to control him and get his life back together.
Oh my God, that is Bromley.
Right? Yeah. So you have to control him, get his life back together, and so you'll have to move his legs individually with buttons. You have to, on top of like the Quap mechanics of arms and leg movement, your character will lose functionality if he goes too long without blinking or breathing. Oh, no. So you also have to like kind of or blink, and you'll start to see like his face turn blue or the periphery around the screen start to get a little bleary-eyed because he's losing his mind. This is a really interesting, really charming game. Again, there's nothing like this on Switch. I'm glad it's here, and it's got way more of a story than I imagined. And a narrator is basically telling you your entire time, like, and then Samuel had to get up and wash his mouth and wash his hair.
So glad you said mouth.
Yeah,
yeah.
No, you do wash other body parts.
How on a scale of 1 to gross? How gross is it?
I would say 6 and a 7 so far.
That's pretty gross.
7.
Yeah,
that's pretty gross.
Yeah,
so Kuraudo is saying, is this like Octodad 2D basically?
Yeah, I think if you love stuff like that, you'll enjoy this because it's got that very goofy, waggly, loose vibe of like, what am I doing? I can't control myself. I spent a lot of my time doing like a full split, just kind of like humping along the floor.
I saw that move. That looks like a pretty good way to get around.
Yeah, so check this game out. Finally, State of Mind. We can talk about this one real quick.
Sure.
This is the sort of the other kind of futuristic, adventure game. I find this one to be, I would say, one of the more technically ambitious games on Switch, but it's also not really fun, but that's okay. I'd say it's got a little bit of like sort of the DNA of something like Heavy Rain.
You said you've been bouncing back and forth between these two Cyberpunk games, but if you're enjoying one so much more than the other, what's bringing you back over and over again to State of Mind?
Right? I mean, I think I'm gonna move on from State of Mind. Okay. 2064 is the one I'm really liking.
Yeah,
but State of Mind is really beautiful. It's fully 3D rendered. It's got almost this kind of like flat polygonal, almost Killer 7 look to it, which cool. I really dig. It's way more about interacting with 3D environments and solving puzzles and picking up objects and figuring out like sort of the story of your own mind and things that are missing. And again, it's like really, really beautiful. I'm kind of surprised at like kind of how this looks on Switch because there's not a lot like it. I just don't find it incredibly fun to play. But if you're looking for something that's a little more slow, then maybe this is what you want. I wanted something a little more clicky and actiony, but that's obviously not what they were going for here. So
fair enough.
Yeah,
3 good choices. Barrett, my man, what about you?
Hello. I'm playing that Fortnite as all the kids.
Yeah.
On the
playing.
Switch or
I
on
haven't
the
heard of that
platforms?
one.
On the Switch,
there,
and
huh?
I only started playing Fortnite when it came to Switch.
Same.
Hey, and Barrett is good at Fortnite.
I'm good at Fortnite on Switch.
Yeah.
Let me reiterate that
Sure.
because I'm sure on different consoles I'd probably be pretty bad. But yeah, a friend of ours was over and she got out her Switch and she was like, "Hey, like, do you guys want to play Fortnite?" And my girlfriend Alyssa had just happened to download Fortnite on her phone that morning. She was like, "Oh yeah, I'll jump in." And I was like, "Damn it, fine, all right." And I downloaded Fortnite and I played squads with them that night and somehow just got hooked. And
Yeah.
so it's just it's one of those easy games where it's been very busy. We've been in travel season a lot where I really only have the mental capacity to like drop in and out of a game that I don't really have to think about like story wise a lot. So
Yep.
Fortnite's the best thing for that right now, and I'm sure once we get back from Germany and other games on different consoles like Spider-Man come out, I will probably get out of that. But yeah, right now Fortnite is
I feel
a
like
big one.
I feel like the crew will be doing a fair amount of Fortniting on this Germany trip.
Oh, yeah.
I feel like that's pretty standard. I too have been playing quite a bit of Fortnite on Switch, kind of bouncing in and out. The thing that is so great to me about Fortnite is the ability to just kind of jump in and out.
Yeah.
Like it's really easy to get in, play 2 rounds, and pop out.
Like every once in a while we'll text each other like duos or we try
Yeah,
to get a squad. And
exactly.
We'll play for like 30 minutes.
Yeah,
And be like,
and
all right, whatever.
What I like about it is, even if you're not good at the game, if you're doing mild objective stuff, or you're shooting some people, you're living a little longer, you're always moving a meter forward a little bit, and you always feel like you're doing something.
Especially if you have the battle pass as well.
I've seen obviously the backlash against this game because it's tremendously popular, and people are just like, "Oh,
Yeah.
you just
They
like."
hate what's
I mean,
cool.
I think that's probably just part of the thing. Like it just happens to everything that gets hugely popular is that there's always this backlash. So.
Yeah, and I'm one of those people like these guys that were kind of late to the party on this game, but it's a really fun game. Like this is popular for good reason. People love this game because it's really fun.
I agree. But what about games that are new that you can play right now? Like take for instance a demo of a game that's coming out, Monster Hunter Generations Ultimate.
Casey's sick.
Casey calls it sick.
Casey is sick. So you'll notice that I said that, and everybody's eyes got really wide. Like, who's he tossing to? So there is a demo. There is a demo for Monster Hunter Generations Ultimate out today, and I asked our friend Casey. She was supposed to be on the show and had to stay home sick, and I asked her to write a few bullet points, and then Casey wrote me a novel about the things that I should mention about Monster Hunter Generations. So, in tribute to Casey, I would like to read some of the stuff that she wrote.
Do we have Monster Hunter Generation music that we can play in the background?
I don't know,
as like an
but I'm
homage?
gonna try to do my best Casey
to Fritas.
impression. Yeah,
Okay,
here we go. Monster Hunter Generations Ultimate demo is out today. It includes 3 quests featuring an easy monster, a normal monster, and a very difficult monster. The flagship Elder Dragon Volstrax.
Damn right.
Its design is based on the fastest animal in the world, a peregrine falcon, which dive bombs its prey at 240 miles per hour. And a jet fighter. No, seriously. I thought going back to the old style of Monster Hunter would be painful, but picking up my old weapon, the Greatsword, felt pretty good. Relearning old systems will probably be worth a crazy amount of content Ultimate has. It has 93 large monsters compared to World's 34. Check out the demo, see if you like it, and definitely check out IGN's Monster Hunter Generations wiki for some helpful tips. Ultimate is just a large expansion of that game after all, with more than a dozen more monsters, better graphics, and an extra level of difficulty in multiplayer called G-Rank. Remember, you'll be able to transfer Generations save data, so nothing will be lost if you've already played on the 3DS. And that is why I encourage Casey to be on the show anytime we talk about
You
Monster
really
Hunter.
nailed the like having glasses, like nailing the
Yes.
that part of Casey.
I really like
I
how
don't
you
really
had
know if
glasses.
anything else really nailed
Yes.
being Casey, but you definitely were wearing glasses.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And Casey, if you're out there, if you're watching today, I hope you feel better. And the next time we talk about Monster Hunter,
We
you
need
better
you.
believe that you'll be on.
Get well soon because we don't know how to do this without you.
I'm gonna download the demo though for the trip for sure.
Me too.
I want to check it out.
I played a fair amount of Monster Hunter World, and I enjoyed it. It's the same thing for me with every Monster Hunter game.
This will feel very different.
Yeah, I understand that, but I played a lot of Monster Hunter 4 on 3DS.
That
and
will feel very similar.
yeah, it's one of those things where like every time I think to myself, this is the one that's going to get me into Monster Hunter, and then every time it's not.
I think you need to find a good friend to play the game.
Maybe a
with,
good friend like Casey.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There you go.
Guys, it's time to play a little game.
What?
A little game that I like to play. No, it's a little game that I like to call Question Block, which, as you know, is still not a game.
Why'd
okay.
you call it a game?
So these questions, I don't know. I just like to chop it up.
Okay, cool.
Right, Brian?
I love it.
These questions came from the Facebook group, facebook.com/group/NVC forums, starting with our friend Steve Bruton, who asks, which would you rather come to Switch first, a new Rhythm Heaven or a new WarioWare?
WarioWare.
Ooh, that was quick.
Yeah, WarioWare.
No,
Wario.
Rhythm Heaven,
Rhythm
because we
Heaven
just
for
got
me, too.
WarioWare.
Yeah,
Not on Switch.
Not on Switch,
Switch.
though. And it's kind of bullcrap that they announced this like cool collection of like all of like the collection of all of these WarioWare games and all these really cool mini games, from the weird spinny one and like the one on DS that I played
Barrett,
hundreds of hours of.
Do you have a 3DS?
No, I don't.
Oh, okay, well then you forgive it.
if only you worked at a company that had 3DS laying around. Literally,
I had
everywhere.
a 2DS that broke, and
I
I wanted to go home and play it, and then I realized that my 2DS screen doesn't turn on. Like the console turns on. but
Okay,
the
fair
This is
enough.
a very sad
Fair enough.
story for
It
you.
is. But anyway,
tough to
like,
choose
what's
between
the
these
point
two.
of bringing this out if you're not going to bring it to
I really want to see an infomercial of Barrett describing his favorite WarioWare games. It's like featuring the spinny one and the one I liked on DS once.
Hey everybody, Barrett Courtney here, telling you about all the Wario games coming to this WarioWare.
The touchy
Switch.
one with the elf.
There are millions of
And other
3DS
classics.
owners. I feel like it's fine that Nintendo throws them some.
Yeah,
Of course,
I think it's fine.
of course.
And like,
Yeah.
first of all, WarioWare on 3DS is incredible. I'm having
it's
so
good.
much fun. I picked it up last week, and I've been playing it, and it's amazing.
Yep.
That being said, there's nothing like Rhythm Heaven, and I'm with Pear. I'm with you on this one. Like, I love a Rhythm Heaven game. I think they are so weird and so funny, and I wish that they would
Only
bring that to
WarioWare was
Switch.
weird and funny.
Or funny,
mean,
yeah.
okay,
Those
all
are
right,
the two
all right.
biggest
What
ones
else you got?
describe those
Moving
games.
on. James Donnellan asks, do you think we'll see a new Direct in September to launch the online service, as well as talk about the new games coming before the year ends, e.g. Diablo 3? And if so, what are you hoping will be discussed or shown? Pear, you actually had kind of hinted at this earlier. You think there's going to be a Direct coming for the online launch?
I think so. I think they want to be able to not just release it, but tell people what's next. Because
Right.
this is not like it launches in one day and everything is clear. Of course, you'll understand what cloud saves are. They want to be able to give you their story of what this is going to be and what games you can look forward to.
Yeah.
They'll market it. They'll do a direct.
Yeah, I think you got to do a direct for this, and I think what they'll show off for, like, when you're asking about what games they'll show off for the rest of the year, I think they're going to show off the games that have used the online service in unique ways, like Dark Souls, or if they change it up with Smash in an interesting way.
Sure.
Not to the extent of like the 3DS hooking up to the Wii U version, but something similar to that, right?
I honestly think that's going to be the quietest part about all of it. I think they're going to go super loud with the Virtual Console / NES Classic stuff here. I think if they come out and they go like, we've got Dr. Mario online and Zelda online and Super Mario 3 online, I think that'll really get people paying attention.
Yeah, I can see both. I can see both stances being true.
But definitely more mine. I'm just kidding.
Okay, the next question comes from Eric D. Donato, and I like that he phrases his question. He lets us know right off the bat that it's going to be a cool question.
Cool.
He goes, yo, NVC, cool question for you guys.
He's an Italian.
With all this Fortnite and Battle Royale craze.
Oh, it's Eric Di Donato.
Here's a cool question. With all this Fortnite and Battle Royale craze, what Nintendo property do you think would be the most fitting to adapt to this genre? Personally, I think a Pokemon Battle Royale would be incredible.
That'd be really cool.
I also think a Pokemon Battle Royale would be incredible, but I think that the clear answer here is Splatoon. We've talked a little bit about a Splatoon Battle Royale mode before on the show, and I'll stick with it. I think Splatoon Battle Royale would be super fun. The game is already geared for that kind of mechanic. I think it's a smart move. Paris seems to disagree.
No, I think that'd be great. But the Warriors franchise, like the Hyrule Warriors, like those games are all designed around like mass combat. I wonder if there's something that can be done that's a combination of fighting against NPCs and other players. I don't know how that would work.
What about, I'll do you one better. What about you take the Breath of the Wild map, you airdrop 100 links into it with breakable
Yeah,
weapons?
I was going to say the
God.
obvious answer
We were going to
is
do
Zelda.
this. We were going to do this for April 1st, an April Fool's Day joke. We were talking about like making a fake video about Zelda Battle Royale mode,
Yep.
and I do think that is a really good idea. It's kind of why it didn't work as a joke, because it's almost too good, right?
And you sneak around, you try to find the other people, and the map gets smaller.
And you have to eat.
Or maybe the map starts like super freezing or something.
I mean,
or
can you
lava
imagine like
comes
using
in.
all of those powers in the context of a battle royale, like stasising a rock and shooting across the map, try to get
Exactly.
something like that's pretty amazing.
God.
You know what? I formally request to change my answer
No, you're
from
right.
Splatoon to Zelda.
We'll
I'll
all
do
agree.
you one better. Donkey Kong
Oh
Nope,
God,
nope.
Royale.
We almost made
100
it.
Kongs.
We almost made it the whole way through the show.
I almost did.
This is the
100
inferior
Kongs.
Donkey Kong 64 engine?
Yeah,
That's right.
exactly.
Of course, yeah.
It makes
And
it
they
look real
all
bad.
drop down on the Kong Islands, and it gets smaller and smaller.
That's enough, Donkey Kong.
What?
Oh, there he is.
Why did you invite Barrett?
I don't know. Last question. Our friend Nathan Evans over in the Facebook group asks, any college football fans?
No.
Nope.
I like football, but not college football.
I like Daniel's question.
Fred
yeah.
Savage asked, "Did y'all see The Wizard?" Yeah, I did. I actually saw it in theaters. Fred, thank you for being such a big part of that film and my adolescence in general.
Have y'all seen Milo and Otis, and what did you think? You guys, thank you so much for joining me today on NVC. Another banger of an episode. Nice work. And thank you guys so much for joining us. Remember that NVC is but one of the many shows on IGN that you can catch on .com. NVC specifically Thursdays, 3 p.m. Pacific, and Fridays, 3 p.m. Pacific on YouTube. So stick around and let us know what you want to see on the next episode. Get the thing.